Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to go into Google Earth to examine a new archaeological discovery. And I found some connections between this new archaeological discovery that nobody else has found to this point, connecting two ancient civilizations that we are told were not connected. Now, what am I talking about? Well, high up in the Andes Mountains, 12,000 feet to be exact, archaeologists noticed a raised perimeter wall around sunken depressions. The site is called PALSAPATA. Here it is here in Wikipedia. And of course, here are let's show you guys the sunken depressions. Here is the site here. This would be fully excavated, but obviously it's not yet. But this is the site and what it would look like. Now, this site isn't far from Tiwanaku in Bolivia. And here's where the plot thickens, because they explain that there are 15 enclosed areas around the perimeter. Now, you can count them here. These are the 15 areas around the perimeter. And this reminded me of something. It reminded me of the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, thousands of miles away in Mexico. 3,500 miles to be more precise. Yet we are told that these two places are not connected. Here is the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, Quetzalcoatl, Q. I believe this is ultimately who these people worship. This whole Q aspect, this feathered serpent. We just did a decode on a film from 1977 called Starship Invaders that was all about a feathered serpent reptilian race. So this is pretty crazy, because when you count the objects around this temple as well, there are 15. It matches 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There are 15 temples around the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Now, if this was all that I found, we wouldn't be doing a video or a decode today, but there's many, many other connections here. We're going to go into Google Earth in a minute. But before we do, understand that something strange happened. There are 15 recognized gods in the Aztec Empire. 15 recognized gods, plus or minus, more or less one or two. But this cannot be an accident, can it? Quick question. Which are you? Well, we're just going to put other, because I can't even deal with this right now. 15 recognized gods, and this article lists them all. Now, again, Aztec would be Quetzalcoatl. That would be Mexico. So why are there 15 compartments 3,500 miles south in this pre-Inca ruins? Now, there are other anomalies as well that connect the two sites. Let's go back to PALSAPATA. This is the modern image of the site from the air. You can barely see anything, but you can kind of make out this central courtyard. If we compare this image, which is the actual site, and you can almost make out the 15 compartments around the edge here. But if you look here, you will see, we compare it to this image, the courtyard is in the middle. In this excavation model, it's a sunken courtyard. Probably this is where they were doing the sacrifices. You can kind of make it out here. So I measured, and look at what I found. It measures 50 meters. But more importantly, it is aligned to 88 degrees. The yellow line that you see on your screen is aligned to 88 degrees. Now, why archaeologists won't acknowledge some of these things makes absolutely no sense to me. This is about mathematics. And this temple is aligned to 88 degrees. Now, both temples, PALSAPATA and Quetzalcoatl, generally align with the setting sun. They face west. But Quetzalcoatl, the temple of the feathered serpent, is off by 8 and 8 degrees. So we've got this temple aligned to 88 degrees, and we got the temple of the feathered serpent that's off by 8 and 8 degrees, 16 total degrees. But they're both facing generally due west. Now do you understand where this whole 88 phenomenon comes from? And Q is 17, the 17th letter of the alphabet. 1 and 7 is 8. Quetzalcoatl. It was always Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. Now, here's where things get really weird, because not only do both of these temples share this weird 88 anomaly. Let me repeat, 88-degree alignment with this temple in PALSAPATA, and the temple of the feathered serpent off by 8 and 8 degrees. But there's something else. When you draw a line from PALSAPATA, 3,500 miles away from this lower corner, it literally connects to the temple of the feathered serpent, 3,500 miles away, and it bisects this entire temple perfectly in half, from corner to corner. It's almost as if the two temples are talking to one another. And you have to wonder, were these temples some kind of markers? Now, let's go into Google Earth. Let me check in with you guys, and we're going to go into Google Earth. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to measure all this out for you so you can see this with your own eyes. Now, this is fascinating. And I'm starting to wonder, how's all this going to go down? Is the archaeological community going to recognize these mathematical anomalies? I guess this all remains to be seen. There's something else, though. After we go into Google Earth, I'm going to show you something very strange. Because the number 15 is loaded. So here we are in Google Earth. Make sure you guys can see that. Very good. This is the temple of the feathered serpent in Mexico. And let's turn off this. All right. Temple of the feathered serpent in Mexico. This red line that I drew here connects the corner. And all I did was connect the two sites together. Let's go over to PALSAPATA, 3,500 miles away. There's the line. And as you can see, it bisects the temple in half, corner to corner. Let's go in here and measure the temple. Now, there's a road that goes through it. In the upper left corner, as you can see, it's up on some kind of a bluff. I did look around the area. I did also see if the Nazca lines intersected with this red line. It does not. It's far to the west of this red line, so there's no alignment there. There could be other possible alignments that I don't know about. But let's go through the history of this image here, and then I'll show you the 88-degree alignment. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Completely ignored by the archaeological community because they don't know how to see the forest from the trees. They don't know how to see these connections. Oh, there's a really good image of it there. with the 15 compartments. Now, when I dug into the 15 and the number 15, I was blown away. And I'm going to share that with you in a minute. I just have to make sure that we're able to look at this. Wow, they literally changed the images. Oh, there's it. There it is there. Okay, here it is here. Okay, let's zoom in on this. There you can see the central temple. It's a little bit fuzzy, but there you can see the square in the center of this. Let's line all this up. And there's the red line. It bisects the square. And now I'm going to draw for you the 88 degrees. It's unbelievable. It really is. Now, Google Earth is not exact, but there is the alignment. 88 degrees. It's almost 88 degrees exactly. Let's zoom in so you could see this. Unbelievable. Fix this here. Now, how can this be? You might be asking yourself. Well, obviously, a lot of the work that we've done on the 88 degrees is actually real. And its connection to politics and leadership and the people that rule this world. Now let's go back to Quetzalcoatl, and I'll show you how this is off by 8 and 8 degrees, a total of 16 degrees. See how it's tilted at a little bit different angle because it's off of perfect 90-degree west, which would make it a perfectly aligned to the west, but it's tilted 8 and 8 degrees. Now, anybody can do this. Anyone can go into Google Earth, pull out this measuring tool, and start making alignments. Don't listen to the naysayers because they're going to tell you you can connect any 2 points. No, it's not just about connecting points. It's about where the points align to. Obviously, this wall points somewhere. It's aligned to a certain amount of degrees. In this case, 285 plus or minus 1 or 2. But I did the calculation on this and it's off by 16 degrees, 8 and 8 degrees. Now, there's something else. Remember the 50 meters that I measured of that central courtyard in PALSAPATA? Well, let's zoom in on Quetzalcoatl. There should be no connections, right? There should be nothing in this complex 3,500 miles away that also measures 50 meters. But yet there is. In fact, it's the most important part of Quetzalcoatl, the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. What am I talking about? Well, let's pull out the measuring tool. The steps leading up to the sacrificial altar measure almost exactly 50 meters. This matches this central portion in here. Zoom in on it, do the measurement. You can't make this up. 50 meters. In this case, like 48, very close to 50 meters. So we have ourselves a connection, don't we? Now, let's hop out of Google Earth. And then after we talk about this, we will get into some headlines. So will be some headlines today. Trump is actually positioning himself as Batman as he goes on these patrols in DC, or at least he claimed he was going to. I don't know if he ended up actually doing it, but that's what Trump does. He always says he's going to do something, and it's as if he actually did it. Hold on just a second here. Let's see here. Let's flip this. It's as if he actually did it. Because in people's minds, they say, well, if he said he was going to do it, that means he did it. But that doesn't mean he did it, though, does it? It means he talked about doing it. And you get a lot of people who support Trump that say, yeah, he did this and he did that. No, he didn't end up doing a lot of that stuff. Now, let's get back to this number 15. Remember, both temple complexes share the same number of temples surrounding the square. 15 total squares. And I hope that you're sitting down for this one. Because in the Hebrew numbering system, the number 15 is not written according to the usual method. Let's go down in here, you guys, and read this. This is the very last article in this Wikipedia article for the number 15 in Judaism. The Hebrew numbering system. Number 15 is not written according to the usual method with the letters that represent 10 and 5. That's normally how they do it. With the yod and the hey letters. Why don't they do this? Because those spell out one of the Jewish names of God. And instead of using yod and hey to write the number 15, the number is written with the letters representing 9 and 6, Teth and Vav. Whoa. Now, what is this name of God that is not allowed to be spelled when they write the number 15? What do you think this name of God is? Let's go back into the chat, see who gets the answer. Unbelievable. What do you think this is? There you go. David got it. It is the Tetragrammaton, but it's the shortened version of it. Here it is. This is the way that they will not spell it. The number 15. Here's the word, yod hey. That's what it looks like, this thing here. And it literally means a shortened version of God's name, Yah. They won't say it. And that is what is encoded in the number 15, which is shared by two of these temples in Mesoamerica. Two completely different cultures. We are told we're not connected. Mind blown. I'll put links to all this for you guys. But whoa. Let me check in with you guys and we'll get into some of these stories today. Good morning, everybody. Wow, now it makes you wonder, right? Now, don't assume that these ancient temples were good just because they encoded literally the name of God. Because remember, the devil is a copycat. He wants to be like God. He'll build temples and make it look like the person's worshiping God until they start having to do human sacrifice. You see how this works? Yeah. Now, let's finish up with some of these headlines, you guys. Trump is Batman. Ready for this? Trump's crackdown in D.C. leaves residents on edge as federal agents set up checkpoints. So now there are checkpoints in D.C. You're driving around, all of a sudden you go into a checkpoint. This is the precursor to what they want to roll out to the rest of American cities. And Trump had claimed he was going to cruise around with these guys and pretend like he's cracking down on crime with them. Federal authorities have set up checkpoints around the nation's capital, sometimes asking people for their immigration status and detaining them. As President Donald Trump's crackdown ensnares more residents each day, Trump claimed that a crime crisis required his Republican administration's intervention in this Democrat-led city this month, brushing aside statistics that show the problem was already waning. However, immigration enforcement appears to be a priority, as more than a third of the people arrested in the last 2 weeks were in the country illegally. Wow. Hundreds of federal agents and National Guard have surged into Washington, leaving some residents on edge, creating tense confrontation in the streets. A daycare center was partially closed Thursday when staff became afraid to go to work because they heard about federal agents nearby. Administration asked parents to keep their children at home if possible. Other daycares have stopped taking kids on daily walks because of the fears of encountering law enforcement. Trump visits cops and troops. White House said they have been 630 arrests, including 251 people, 300 veterans. No, but likely there were lots of veterans wrapped up in these sweeps. They won't talk about them. Trump has been ratcheting up pressure since then, seizing control of D.C. Police Department on August 11th, deploying more National Guard. Trump visited with officers and troops at the U.S. Park Police facility in the latest show of force from the White House. We're not playing games, he said. Trump suggested that operations in the city could be drawn out and serve as a model for others around the country. We're going to make it safe. You guys, this is martial law. They're just not saying martial law. This is martial law in a major American city that will be rolled out to other cities. Remember I told you guys to get out of the cities? About 10 years ago, I said you might want to start thinking about trying to find a place out in the country. At least get some land. At least take that $10,000 you were going to go on a trip with and buy yourself about 10 acres out in the country somewhere, far away from the big cities. And so you always have it in case you have to drive your travel trailer out there and camp. Remember those discussions? And I was telling you guys how back when I was in the beast, I would blow $10,000 every year on just nothing, eating out, going on vacations with the family. And so it's not that much money to do that. And people are like, Casey, we're supposed to be in the cities because there's people to save there. But then you ask the person, okay, well, what kind of ministry are you doing? And they can't say. Some people just love the city. Well, now look what's happening. They're coming. They're coming. This isn't going away. This will be our future. And now it's too hard to get out because everything's inflated in price. Everything costs more now. This is unbelievable. This makes me so angry. So this is what's going on. Trump is playing the Batman card. This is why he showed up and made it look like he's behind all this. Like he's going to duck behind an alley and put on his Batman suit or go to the Batcave and pop off and do his vigilante work. But really, it's just martial law. Now, remember I told you that racism between people really didn't exist. Especially in the 80s and 90s growing up. Yeah, I had friends that cracked jokes. They'd make fun of me. But it was no big deal. It's like, who cares? We all have the same opportunities. But there wasn't this thing where, oh, I'm not going to hire you because you're black. It was about your character. And then all of a sudden, Obama came to power and he started this whole race thing again. And so now we're starting to see racism being pushed from the top down, and you're seeing people's attitudes change because they're buying the programming. They're falling into the programming from the top down. And now people are starting to say what they feel and things because of the programming. I don't think that happened organically. I think it happened from the programming. Why are they doing this? Because it creates chaos. It's a Trojan horse. It's a distraction so that Trump can do things like he's doing. All you do is racially weaponize the situation. In this case, he's saying it's about the illegals. Oh, most of the arrests are illegals. Oh, good, Trump, go for it. Martial law. Right? And Right now, they're playing the illegal card against Hispanics, but, yesterday or tomorrow, it's going to be black people again. It's the top down that's stoking this racial divide. It's not natural. Here's Lil Nas X, arrested, hospitalized for reportedly overdose. He was wandering the streets in his underwear. What is happening to these black men? I believe they're playing a role. I believe they're being told to do this, or there's some kind of mental mind control. Something breaks loose. This then reinforces negative racial attitudes toward black men. First, we had Kodak Black sitting in the middle of the street, out of his mind, eating a box of chicken. Now we got Lil Nas X arrested, high as a kite, and walking around nude in the streets. What they're trying to achieve here is to get white people to say, see, those black people are dangerous and crazy. Don't give in to the hype. This is all staged. Here's another one. New York Post. Why would you run a story talking about a bunch of black people on a cruise ship fighting over chicken? This is about as racist as it gets, from the top down, not between you and I, from the top down. It only works if you give in to this and go, yeah, look at those crazy black people. Watch this, you guys. Why would you put fighting over chicken in the title of this story? And yes, the guy said it, but this is just ridiculous, you guys. Now, here's the proof that racism comes from the top down. Here's the proof right here. Now, normally when I go down in this comment section of any of these videos or stories that I cover, I try to leave my own comments. And even if I say something like the word stupid or, retarded or anything, or if I say, whatever, it is blocked. Your comment has been rejected for just being critical of something. Well, look at these comments that they allow to stand under this video. Every single one of these comments is a racist comment. Now, I don't even think these comments are real. And the reason why I know this is because when they do let my comments stand about other subjects, immediately within 5 minutes, I get a reply, even though my comment's a brand new comment. And it's usually someone disagreeing with whatever I'm saying or trying to politicize what I'm saying to a right-left paradigm, trying to say I'm either a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter. And so I know it's fake. I know they're fake replies. So this is what the comments section have become. They've become artificial intelligence for an agenda, in this case, to continue or to stoke racial division between black people and white people. And every single one of these comments is racist. Every single one of the top comments with overwhelming thumbs up. And they let these comments stand. Look at this. Collard greens, usual suspects. Can't make this up. I can't read too many of these because, wow, it's no shock anymore. It's expected, they say. Don't mess with their chicken. But yet, if I say something like, watch this. Let's do this live. This is retarded. Watch this. There you go. Rejected. Let's try stupid. So they'll let a racist comment stand, but they won't let this. There you go. Boom. Now you see the agenda. So don't buy into this. And you see stories like this. Don't have negative feelings about white people or black people or Hispanic people because that's what they want. All right. I'm back in the chat, you guys. Unbelievable. Now, when I see something like that, a bunch of people brawling on a cruise ship, the first thing I wonder is, why do people that act like that, how are they even able to afford to go on a cruise? I thought cruises were expensive. Like, typically, there's a decorum that people have, regardless of color, when you're spending that much money to go sit on a ship. And so that's what I think of. I think when I look at that, I just think those are just people acting stupid. I don't see color. It would be the same reaction that I get when I go into Walmart over here in 99% Arkansas and you see people walking around, white people walking around in pajamas or running off with stolen property in front of somebody's house. You don't think, oh, look at those white people. I don't think that. I just think those are people acting stupid. Yet, the article seeks to stoke racism. When I drive around Arkansas and I see trailer parks everywhere, I don't think, oh, look how white people live. That would be a negative racial attitude, right? It's just that's how some people live. So I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid. Oh, can't say that. Unbelievable. So the purpose of this channel is to expose hypocrisy, to expose agendas, hidden agendas hiding just beneath the surface, so that you can understand and not be tricked by this social engineering. That's the whole point of this channel, you guys. And to lead people back to the gospel, Jesus tells us the middle in trust in him, his ideologies, the fruits of the spirit, getting saved, living your life as free from sin as you can, to the ability that you can. None of us are perfect. That is what it's all about. Not giving into the right-left paradigm, either a racial divide, political divide. So I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts on all this, but can you believe this? There's literally a story about black people fighting over chicken. And they just, with a straight face, they post the article like, oh, there's no racism there. Wow. All right. I'm in the chat, you guys. Wow. Don't give into it, you guys. If there's any example of how real black people are, I should be the example for you guys. Okay. This is why I do outreach. This is why I reach across the aisle. Any chance that I get to dispel any ideologies that people have and misconceptions and prejudices that they might have against black people, I feel like part of my job as a human being is to dispel those things and show people it's not about race. It's about people. So the fact that people tell me, I don't even know you were black, that's actually a good thing. I'm a human being. So, all right. What are you guys' thoughts on all this? Many stereotypes have a root truth. Well, that's programming. That means you've been programmed to believe that. Again, I don't particularly like fried chicken. I don't particularly like watermelon. It gives me heartburn. And so right there, that dispels the stereotype. Now, are there a lot of people in the South that might be into that kind of thing? Of course. But I know white people that love fried chicken too. Stereotypes are damaging because many of them are not true. And stupid people act stupid. It doesn't matter what color you are. And the minute we start attaching color to things, you're buying right into the programming. You're believing the top-down programming. Again, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. And it wasn't called racism then because we just were joking around with each other. No one took it personal. We would just quip back at each other. Now all of a sudden, everyone takes all this stuff to a whole new level, which justifies all kinds of things. Okay, you ready for this? Are you ready for this? And I'll end the show with this. Mark my words. And it's very rare that I say this, but mark my words. Soon as Trump has gotten all the mileage he can out of the illegal thing, when he's ready to go into these Democrat cities, he will weaponize the black racial aspect of this once again. You'll start seeing comments. He already started by going through the Smithsonian. Did you guys hear this? Trump went through the Smithsonian and is removing exhibits. Rosa Parks. A lot of stuff from the civil rights era. He's literally, let's pull up the story because you guys aren't going to believe me. Trump Smithsonian removes exhibits. There is a purge. We are literally living in the purge. But it's Trump's purge. Trump is purging Smithsonian of exhibits. Started in April. He removed Harriet Tubman's hymn book. So he's already starting to stoke the racial divide. And next, he'll go into places like Chicago. And he'll say, oh, it's the black people causing all this. Now, what you don't understand is, yes, there's a lot of crime in Chicago. And yes, most of it is black. But guess what? It's black on black crime. I looked at some studies in a show not too long ago. And literally, it's black people killing black people. White people kill white people and black people kill black people. That's what the study showed. There isn't like a bunch of black people killing white people. But Trump will weaponize this. And what will this do? It'll allow him to invoke martial law in places like Chicago. Because people will believe this and it will continue to stoke the racial divide. This is why he probably went in the Smithsonian and is removing black exhibits. He's starting to try to stoke this again. This is unbelievable, you guys. I can't even believe that this is happening in 2025. Now, you guys know I'm not a liberal, but it's what he's doing is the problem. He knows that this is going to incite anger and violence. He knows this. Not that I'm so attached to Harriet Tubman and the story. It's that he knows what he's doing here. It's intentional. Oh, I hope this is coming through. And you guys are understanding this. I'm about as conservative as it gets. I'm so conservative. I don't believe that the ICE agents should be able to ask people their identity. I think you have the right to privacy. I don't believe in what's happening. Warrantless, raids and things like this. So it's just crazy. It's crazy. And people just fall right into it. They just believe what's happening. They don't even understand. They can't see the big picture. They don't understand that, okay, next he's going for the whole goal of this is to get the military in the cities and basically do martial law without saying it's martial law. That's the whole point of this. And they use these tools to stoke feelings so that people get defensive and they allow this to happen. That's the whole purpose of this, you guys. And now here is the story behind the story. Why? Why now? Why does Trump want so badly to have the military in the big cities in America? And that is the real question. And I believe the answer to that, and again, mark my words, is because there is a future event coming where he knows there's going to be civil unrest, and he wants to be in a position to control it. What that event will be, I don't know. It will likely either be a fake nuke going off, a fake war. Maybe we're going to go full-blown war with Russia for more human sacrifice for the devil. And people are going to be like, wait a minute, you sold us on getting out of this war. You sold us on no more aid to Ukraine. But now Trump's like, oh, the aid to Ukraine has not changed since Joe Biden. Look it up. Look it up. It hasn't changed. We have to wake up, you guys. We have to wake up to this. The same amount of aid to Ukraine has not stopped since Trump has gotten into office. There was a couple pauses, but for the most part, the fact is, no matter what Trump says, it has not changed. He was talking about, oh, we're going to make Europe pay for it. We don't pay anything. Nope. We've not changed. So more human sacrifice. Great. Wonderful. Trump. Either that's going to happen or Trump's going to try to stay in office. or he's going to run one of his kids and fix the election, and everyone will be mad because they'll be like, there's no way that person won. There's no way Barron Trump won. There's no way Trump Jr. won. But then Trump's going to be in a position to, you know, confirm it. Something big is happening. There's no other reason why they would try to militarize all of our cities. There's no other reason, you guys. Something's coming. So, there you heard it. All right, I'm in the chat again. What a crazy time we live in. Crazy time to be alive, right? They are being shown on every level who this dude is, and they still don't get it. Yes, he is a master magician. I have to admit, you guys, I have to admit, he is brilliant at this. He literally says things, and when he says it, people believe it, even if he's saying the direct opposite of what he actually does. I've never seen anything like that before. And the only thing I can chalk it up to is money. For some reason, Americans are enamored with billionaires. They let them do and say whatever they want. You guys, we have tech billionaires literally telling us to our face that our jobs are going to be replaced. We're like, oh, wonderful, you're a tech billionaire. And everyone's looking at weddings and Bezos and weddings. And, oh, look, this is so neat. Oh, they're billionaires. It would be neat to be like that. And that's our sin. Our sin is vanity. Our sin is money. And we respect these people and look up to them and trust them just because they stole all of our money. It's crazy. It's just unbelievable. All right. So nobody's talking about Epstein anymore, are they? Well, they are saying they're going to release the files to the committee. So now it's got to go through another committee. Wonderful. Another 6 months. Then the committee will say, we've reviewed the files. I just can't even do this anymore. All right. I guess we're going to pop off here, you guys. What is going on the ranch? Oh, you ready for this? I don't even have corn in the feeder yet because we've got to wait till season starts. I've got squirrels literally playing carousel merry-go-round on the feeder just because they can smell the corn from the previous year. Literally, they jump up onto the little carousel thing that shoots out the corn, and they're spinning around on it. I've got them on videotape. He's just like flying around this thing I'm like, are you kidding me? What are you doing? They're like wrecking my feeder. So guess what I did? I got some barbed wire. Yeah, you can have barbed wire shipped to your house from Amazon. Can you believe this? I got barbed wire. I'm going to wrap it around this little contraption. The thing's only about the size of my hand, and somehow they jump up onto it. They're like, oh, slinkies? Fun. We don't care about slinkies. The slinkies only work on the squirrels. The squirrels run up the slinky and they fall down. However, raccoons, they are superhuman. They're like, I call them the Mission Impossible raccoons. I don't know. They crawl up the arm. They bypass the slinky. Then they basically, they've got anti-gravity abilities. They crawl onto this little carousel thing that's literally the size of my hand underneath the thing that holds the corn, which again, there's no corn in there yet. And they spin around and they spin it and they spin on it, licking whatever residue there was left. I can't even do this right now. And then my neighbor messages me on Facebook and he says, yeah, we're feeding the squirrels over here, or we're feeding the raccoons. There's a whole family of them. It's like, dude, don't feed the raccoons. Oh my gosh. You know, when I first moved out here, uh, one of the neighbors who's no longer with us, he had, I think he got the you know what, and he had a he had a heart attack. And he drove up in his truck, really nice guy. He's like, if you see a raccoon, shoot it. If you see a fox, shoot it. If you see Bambi, leave her alone and look out because mama's not far behind and she might attack you. If you see an armadillo, shoot it. If you see it, I'm like, bro, I'm not going to shoot everything, but don't feed them either. Okay. Family of raccoons beat up my German Shepherd. You guys, we could do a whole cartoon on this. We could do like a whole like segment on this. We can make up our own TV show of the wildlife out here in the Ozarks and all the funny antics. You guys, I've got 10,000 squirrels. I walk out and they're jumping from tree to tree. Now, I don't know if any of them are zombie squirrels, but right now the acorns, they're harvesting the acorns. So I've got 10,000 squirrels out here. I walk out and it's raining acorns and they're jumping all around in the trees and I'm trying to count them, but there's so many you can't even count them. And then they start dropping these acorns on your head. They like bomb you with the acorns to try to get you out of there. And then they come down to the ground and they dig 10,000 holes and they bury the acorns. Now, look, I know this is nature, but it's like shocking to me. I've never seen this many squirrels ever in my life. I did get the electric fence going. I got the new posts. I pounded them in the ground. I got wire. I put the insulators on so far, and now I got to run the wire. And I'll probably do a video on that for you guys and show you what all this stuff I'm talking about so you can laugh. And I'll show you pictures of the raccoon hanging on the carousel. I'll do like a whole video on that at some point. I'm just like, bro. Literally. Oh my gosh. There are like 10 raccoons, you guys. There's like two adults and all the rest are like adolescents. And on the camera, all you see is all these glowing eyes and they're running up and down trees like nothing, like they're Spider-Man. You can see their glowing eyes and they're looking at the camera. They must know when it pops off and they're shooting up and down trees and stuff. And I'm like, where am I? Oh my gosh. Okay, enough of that. I'm just ranting. That's the Ozark rant. uh, yeah, I actually feel bad. I feel like I'm blessed that I actually have non-zombie squirrels. So, first I was like, oh man, look at all these squirrels. But then now I'm like, well, at least they're not zombied out like the squirrels in Maine and Canada right now. Man, you got to wonder, right? Wildlife is precious. But yeah, my neighbor, he's like, I think he's checking to make sure I'm not killing anything. He's like, oh, because I was going to do the spring down the hill. And he's like, well, what are you going to do for the moss? And I go, what moss? I go, it's under a canopy of trees. There ain't going to be no moss. He goes, you're not going to put any anti-moss chemicals in it because it could kill the deer. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go. No, I said, of course not. I'm not going to put any chemicals in a natural spring. That would defeat the entire purpose of a natural spring. It's not for looks. It's for a food source for the wildlife and an emergency situation if I need it, right? So I just wanted to develop the spring a little bit. It's spring's already there. It just I want to dig it out a little bit, and make it deeper and because it'll be a pool of water. So it's just crazy. So all right. Okay, guys. Well, yeah, I'm gonna pop off here. I love you guys. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate you guys hanging out. And I will see you all Sunday. Take care, everybody. I'll put links to everything in the pinned comment. Much love.